Hey people, it is Tuesday, April the 27th, and it is 1:15 in the afternoon. And I'm here at the corner of Richmond Street and Yonge Street, and I'm looking up at the third phase of the Bay Adelaide Centre, which is a new office tower under construction. And I thought for today's video, I would walk around and check out how many office towers are currently under construction in the city. Since it's been a pretty hot topic over the last year as to what is going to happen to office workers, as in will they ever come back to the office? And if they're not, then why are these companies building all these new office towers around downtown Toronto, which they have not stopped doing? And actually, new office towers are just beginning construction right now. So I thought I'd walk around and we'll check out some of these office towers. And we'll just take a walk around the financial district while we're at it. So it's around, I think, 7 or 8 degrees right now, and I think it's supposed to get up to 11 today. It's a little bit windy. So anyway, I remember talking about this building when it was just beginning construction a year ago. People were saying that they probably would not proceed with the building, and they didn't expect it to be built due to office workers probably working from home permanently. But they continued building it, and now it's just about topping out. So obviously, the company is expecting people to come back to work in the offices, or they wouldn't have proceeded with the building. I mean, whether it's in a hybrid form or back to normal, we still don't know. But people will definitely be coming back to the offices in some way or another. So that's looking west down Richmond Street. So now we're walking east along Richmond. We're just crossing Victoria Street. We're at Church Street. We're heading south. And there in the distance you can see a glass building popping up. That is another new office tower, which is just wrapping up construction right now. And that is for the LCBO, which is the Liquor Control Board of Ontario. That's their new head office. So once again, I imagine they'll be fully expecting people to go to work in that building that they just built. There you can see the Bay Adelaide Centre again. Crossing Adelaide Street. Here's another look at the new LCBO office tower. That's 25 stories, so it's not particularly huge, but still hundreds of workers obviously will be working in that building. And I just can't imagine that they'll choose to let it remain mostly empty. And the same could be said right here. This is the new office building for Google Canada. It's currently under construction here on King Street. Now, Google is one of the companies that have professed that they'll allow people to work from home permanently if that's what they want, but once again, do they really just want to keep on building this building and then let it sit empty? I don't think so. I fully expect a year from now that this building will be full of people. There's Toronto Street. Toronto has its own street named after itself. Crossing Victoria Street again. I also was thinking that a lot of people who sold their house or condo and moved outside of Toronto because they were thinking they could work from home permanently and they have no need to live in the city anymore might regret it, because as time goes on they might come to realize that maybe they do have to be in the office at least a few days a week, and now they just suddenly given themselves some enormous commuting out from their far-flung new locations. And maybe they should have waited a bit to see what happened before packing up and leaving so hastily. And as more people do go back to the office, if they choose, if they're given the choice to go back however often they want to, I have a feeling a lot of people will be going back at least 3 days a week. And the people who choose to work from home permanently might begin to miss out on some of the benefits of being at work, in terms of like office culture and collaboration and brainstorming, things that just work much better in person. These are just thoughts of mine. I mean, none of this is written in stone by any means. So now we're walking south on Yonge Street. Looking down Wellington Street. The temperature right now is at that point where with a hoodie on, I'm either too hot if walking in the sun, a little chilly if walking in the shade, or if a gust of wind blows on me. So I don't know whether to have my hoodie unzipped or zipped because it literally changes from like minute to minute. So now we're walking just south of Front Street here on Yonge, and we're coming to another major office development. So there we have the new CIBC Square Tower that is just wrapping up construction. No one has moved in yet, but I'm positive it will fill up with people. I mean, they just built this giant office tower through the pandemic, and lo and behold, there's a phase 2, which they just erected this crane for, which will be another building actually slightly taller than this one. Basically a twin of this building, just a little bit taller, will rise right here. And once again, people were speculating, oh, are they going to even bother going forward with the second phase? Everyone's going to be working from home. Why would they bother doing that? But looky here, they're going forward with it. They have not stopped at all. It's full speed ahead for phase 2. Another enormous office tower, which will house thousands of people, just as this one will. So working from home permanently. For some maybe, but definitely not for all. People will return to the offices. I can't imagine any company saying like, let's proceed with this multi-tens of millions of dollars of construction for no reason. We just want to build a giant empty office tower. Now we're walking west along Front Street, on Front Street West. Yeah, we're going by the main part of the financial district here. These buildings have been mostly empty over the last year, but they won't stay that way. I've been reading online, a lot of people speculating once again, saying that they think a lot of these office towers will be converted to residential uses, and I just don't see that happening. Maybe a few of the very oldest, smallest office towers that could happen, but not the big flagship office towers here along Bay Street. It's a lot of dust. Just passing by Union Station. And of course, GO Transit is proceeding with their expansion plans, increasing frequency, building new suburban parking garages at GO stations. They fully expect the need for commuting into the city to remain. And to only increase over the years. Maybe some of those increased numbers of people commuting into the city will be those who did move out to the outskirts, thinking they could work from home permanently, only to find that they have to suddenly commute an hour and a half to downtown Toronto a few days a week. And here's the famous Royal York. And actually, there's another new office tower right behind that PwC office tower. There's another office tower that's sort of popping out there, and that one was just wrapping up construction as well. So it, as of right now, is still not occupied. It's a very sizable building with upwards of close to 1 million square feet. And I, once again, don't think it'll sit there empty forever. That would be pretty silly now, wouldn't it? I'm pretty sure They'll start telling people to report to work. They have a tenant lined up and ready to go, I'm sure. And here we have a couple of, this is the new 46-story 160 Front Street office tower, and it's starting to rise with its steel frame construction. This of course will be a major office tower with over 1 million square feet of office space. And once again, people are saying, oh, will this building go ahead? Maybe they're not going to build it. Well, of course they are. And this will probably be finished or topped out within a year. And here is a development application for another new office tower. 52-story office tower is proposed for this site. Of course, that one is not yet approved or has a tenant in mind yet. So that one's still up in the air. But we're not talking about proposed buildings here. We're talking about office towers that are actually under construction right now, such as this one. I'm pretty excited about this one and the second phase of CIBC Square. Those two buildings will definitely have an impact on the skyline. They're huge buildings. With big footprints. That's what I like about office towers. They have very large footprints and they look a lot more substantial on the skyline than some of the skinny condo towers. Even if the condo towers are taller. And office towers are just better build quality as well. No expense is spared when these big companies build a flagship office tower. They don't cut corners the way residential builders do with some of their condo towers. So we're just on Front Street. I was just walking along here last week on my way to get vaccinated. Yeah, it was last Tuesday. I think at this very time, maybe. Yeah, just about. My appointment was at 1:40 last week. It's 1:44 right now. And up ahead you can see a building under construction, and that is another office tower that is close to topping out, and that will be the new head office, or the new Toronto office of Shopify. I believe the head office is in Ottawa, but I think this might be their largest office here in Toronto. And Shopify is also another one of the companies that stated that they will allow their employees to permanently work from home. So that leads one to wonder, what are they going to do with this giant office building that they're continuing to construct? Will they sublease it? Or will they decide, hey, guess what? Maybe we will have people come into the office after all, since we just built this gigantic building. So I think I'll just head up to Spadina here, just to get a good close-up shot of this new Shopify office building. And that will probably be it for this little tour of major office towers under construction in downtown. There are some smaller buildings I didn't point out, but I got the big ones, or the larger. Before the pandemic, Toronto had probably the tightest office market in North America, with the lowest vacancy rate and the highest demand for new space. And obviously the vacancy rate has risen over the last year, but it's still fairly low by the standards of most North American cities. It's definitely not high by any means. And even if it doesn't get back to the extremely low levels that it was at a year ago, I think it will remain one of the tightest office markets in North America, with high demand, and I think more new office towers will continue to be built. There are several proposed, such as the one I pointed out earlier, And there are at least 2 more that are over 300 meters, so they will be super tall office buildings. So we're talking millions upon millions of square feet of new office space and thousands upon thousands of new office workers. Well, that's unfortunate. Alright, so here we are at front in Spadina. Here's a nice close-up shot of this new office tower. It's a pretty interesting building. Very kind of cool design. Reminds me a bit of some of the buildings you see in London, in the UK. Some of the office towers that have risen up there in the old financial district in London. So I hope you enjoyed this little tour around downtown, looking at all the new office towers currently under construction, and listening to my ramblings about whether or not they'll remain empty, as everyone seems to think working from home is permanent and no one will ever go back to the office. And I just don't see that happening. But hey, that's just my opinion. If you disagree, feel free to comment below, or if you agree, feel free to comment below. And if you enjoyed this, subscribe and like and share and tell your friends and your family. And be sure to hit the notification bell so you don't miss any of my videos. And if you'd like to support the channel, there's a link in the description where you can do so via PayPal. And you can find me on Instagram under KContinuum. So thanks for watching, and be sure to keep checking back because, as always, I will continue.